that the deadline for the submission of these tax returns is June 30th, but the stubborn question has always been, why do employees have to file their returns, yet their employers, especially for employees who just have that one source of income, their employers file the returns, I believe February of every year, and also they pay that tax. Why do we have to file these returns?
All right. Okay, for those who are employed and they only have that employment as the source of their income, we do understand that PAYE is deducted, actually on a monthly basis, and the employer is expected to file and pay that tax on a monthly basis. Mm-hmm. The February return was done away with when we embraced the Itax. Mm-hmm. But it's difficult for the employer to actually tell that this employee has no other source of income. So that is why it is expected that the individual actually do a declaration mm-hmm. through a return that they have no other source of income other than the employment income. Mm-hmm. So that's why they should file, so that if they have any other source of income, mm-hmm. could be any other business, could be rental, they are supposed to declare that in addition to that employment income. Okay. So it is necessary that they do that declaration. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And on the right side of your screen, those are just file footages, pictures of previous seasons when people want to go and file their returns. And of course, we will be seeing these queues as people mm-hmm. strive to beat the deadline. But even as you talk about that, what is the process like when you're filing your returns? We understand that you are supposed to acquire the P9 form that gives a summary of the tax you've paid for 1 year. Maybe you can just take us through that entire process when you're filing these returns on the Itax platform.
Yeah, as you said, the return we are filing this season is the 2017, that is January to December 2017. And actually the season starts January. It started this January 2018 mm-hmm. all the way to 30th June. It's expected, for example, those who have no other source of income, just other than employment, that their employees give them the P9s. Because there's the P9 that breaks down mm-hmm. the monthly deduction, the monthly pay and the deductions, and also the relief, so that it facilitates the employees to file their returns. So actually the call is on the employers to mm-hmm. release that P9s in good time. Right. I hope this is still good time, because we are only counting down time 5 days. Mm-hmm. Once the employees mm-hmm. receive the P9s, mm-hmm. they are expected now to transfer that information in the returns. And the returns are quite simplified, especially if the employer is filing. Yes. Some of the information is already input. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they just fill a few details and the return is pre-populated. Okay. Yeah.
Pre-populated forms when you're doing your returns, but what happens when the taxation, when you're filling that pre-populated form, then there's some additions that you need to input. What happens when you have a balance, maybe a negative balance or a positive balance, meaning that you either owe KRA some money or KRA owes you some money? What happens?
If you owe, then it means by that you need to pay. Mm-hmm. And actually, any monies that are owed to KRA are supposed to have been paid by 30th April, mm-hmm. because we should not just limit ourselves to those who are employed. We also look at those who are in business and mm-hmm. should be filing returns. Mm-hmm. Actually, returns are just for individuals and companies as well, right. because we have companies whose year ends in mm-hmm. December. Mm-hmm. So they are supposed to have, especially individuals and companies who have business, and they are supposed to have paid their taxes in installments, mm-hmm. 4-quarter installments. And the balance of tax comes in February or mm-hmm. the 4th month, yes. after which now they simply file a return. So actually we should not be expecting payments, but since taxpayers somehow they do not have this information, as they do their returns, they also find that they have monies to pay. Mm-hmm. So the money has to be paid as they are filing. That is if it's a positive. Uh-huh. Yeah, of course that will be kind of late payment, because yes. we expected that money in April.
So you're filing your returns on June 30th and you realize that there's some money that you need to pay.
Yes.
What window period are you given to do that?
Okay, we are saying the window was open up to 30th April. So you are actually paying late. So there will be some penalty for late payment. Uh-huh. Yeah.
But sometimes when you're interacting with the system, you'll have a balance because of some mistakes that you have made, especially talking about there's something called the insurance. You may be having an insurance policy, and so you have been benefiting from tax relief, but then when you're filing your returns, you fail to capture that in your form.
Yes.
So in such instances, when someone making the returns makes a mistake, what are they supposed to do?
Okay, there is room for amending a return. So after maybe that year they have filed and they realize there is a mistake, then immediately they should do an amendment and maybe capture what they left out. But of course on this we are finding that taxpayers are abusing the amendments, and you find that most of the amendments are downwards, which is unlikely. So for such we need to check, but obviously the law allows for amendments. Yeah, and once we check the reason for amending, because we have to approve from our head, we will actually approve. And but it's good to advise the people with such policies and also even mortgage that they should have their employers actually deducting such from the payslip, rather than waiting until the returning period to put in such reliefs. It's expected that you are relieved at the point of payment. Yeah.
But you don't capture it when you're filing your returns and you end up with a positive. What should you do?
Yeah, that's what we said. If you happen not to capture by error, you make an amendment, you capture it.
Yeah.
So that, but in case the credit is genuine, actually KRA do pay or actually refund the taxpayers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good when all systems are working properly, so that you realize that you have a negative in what you should have captured when you were doing your reliefs, but you don't even make that amendment and time is out. So eventually
it still lies on you, because you see the commissioner wouldn't know that your return has an error.
Okay.
Yeah, but if it's a credit and we are doing our normal checks, we may realize and then query. So at the point of querying, that's when maybe the taxpayer would tell us this was a mistake. But I think it's best that the taxpayers themselves do interrogate their returns and ensure that their returns are the actual.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's first of all cross over to Kwale, where Nikki Gitonga is standing by, talking to some members of the public, just to understand if they have any concerns in terms of filing their returns. And Nikki, good morning. What are your members saying, or your citizens saying in as far as filing these returns is concerned? Nikki, if you can hear me, what are the members of the community that you have? What are they saying in regards to filing returns? Have they done theirs? Are they facing any challenges interacting with the Itax portal? Well, unfortunately, we cannot seem to get Nikki Gitonga. We'll try to get there in a few minutes. Now, let's talk about something that is quite important, and I don't know how many people have been filing new returns over the years. Maybe you may start by telling us how many people involved in filing new returns and what that exactly means. What's the provision for who in this country? Okay,
I may not have the actual number for those who file returns, and there is no mistake. It's not a mistake to file a new return, because that is actually the declaration maybe of a certain taxpayer. So what would only be the problem if this nil return is actually filed to kind of defraud the actual position. That is, many taxpayers, we find that they file nil returns while they actually have taxes to declare. That would only be the charge. Otherwise, nil returns are okay, and we receive them and we investigate them, we check them again and establish they are actually nil.
Okay.
Yeah, but we realize that many taxpayers are fully in business out there, but they simply file nil returns at the time of filing.
So if they're in business, you would assume that maybe they are registered VAT users, that is value-added tax collectors.
Yes.
How do you interact with that?
So there are different tax obligations. We have VAT, we have turnover tax, we have income tax, and we find many filing nil returns in each tax obligation. Yeah, but that's their choice. Maybe they think that the government may never catch up with them. But on VAT, we realize that most of these are actually supplying the government, and we can see through the system.
Yes.
Because when they supply the government, And through the IFMI system, there is a withholding tax. Actually, withholding tax was introduced to get some of those that are hiding. So we see the tax has been withheld, meaning that they actually supplied. So we follow them to pay us because for like VAT, the withholding is 6%. So we follow them to pay us the 10%.
The remainder of 10%.
Yes, and VAT is on monthly basis, so we keep following them.
We'll get back to that. I understand that now we have Nikki Gitonga from Kwale. Nikki, good morning. And what are the members of the society that you are with saying about filing tax returns? It's just 5 days to the deadline. Have they done their returns, and are they having any concerns, any difficulties interacting with the Itax platform?
Well, thank you, Sam Gituku. At the moment, I'm just one of the cyber cafe here in Diani, Kwale County, and I just want to find out whether people have filled in their tax return. We know that in Kwale we have a Huduma Center, but however, it's miles away from here. Normally, people do fill their tax return through cyber cafe, even others through the comfort of their phones. I just want to talk to Mr. Emmanuel Kimote, who is a cyber attendant, to tell us about the process and maybe what is the challenge posing to it as people try to fill in their tax return, as we are aware that it's only 5 days remaining before the deadline, before the process comes to an end. Mr. Emmanuel Kimote, we are live on Citizen TV. Kindly tell us how is the process done and what are the challenges posing as far as it comes to filling in the tax returns?
The process, if for employees, they need their P9 form, their Itax password, and their KRA. So most of the clients, they have forgotten their Itax password. So what we do, we just log into their email address, and you may still find the clients still they don't have the email address. So what you have to do is scan their original ID. We send to the email address call center at kra.gok. We wait for about one to 2 days.
What kind of tax return do normally people here come to fill in through the cyber that you have?
There's employee returns and there's the student return, which we file nil return for them. Yeah.
Challenge posed to the process so far. What is the major challenge?
The challenge is the system ability to handle the returns during these peak times, because most of us we fell during the last times. So the system sometimes doesn't respond, so it will take like the whole day trying to. So I have to close at about 9 p.m. because there are so many clients they want to file their returns.
So, what do you think maybe that is required to be done by KRA to ensure the process becomes smooth, especially for those who cannot access Huduma Center?
KRA, they need to set up more KRA offices, like places in Ukunda, because we just got one and it's always full.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can also speak to one of the clients. We've just seen him trying to fill in the tax return. We also want to know if in any way he has already filled his returns, and if he doesn't, why he has to wait for last minute. Mr. Unaweza amka kidogo utueleze wewe usha fill returns. Have you filled your tax returns?
Yeah, I've done that. Yes.
How is the process so far?
It's smooth, but we sometimes encounter some challenges when it's almost due to the deadline because of the high number of people who are filing. Because the system tends to be slow, and we experience challenges.
So what do you think that KRA needs to do?
I think KRA needs to put up systems that are quite, one, fast, and two, also accessible to people. Because now, and also the offices, because people also complain that when you go to the offices, they send you back to the cyber cafes. So it becomes a challenge for anybody who is a late comer, and we are Kenyans, so we do things a bit.
Yeah. Why did you have to wait till when it's almost the time is over?
No, you don't have to wait. It's because sometimes we are not, we have so much work to do. So, and then again, there's much of, we expect that some of the systems are operating normally, but when you come and try to file them, you find there are some errors. And sometimes there are KRA errors. You find sometimes you have challenges in terms of other problems that you find you have pending problems with the system. Yeah.
Gituku, we've just heard from Emmanuel Kimote and one of the clients here saying that the process sometimes is a bit challenging when it comes to filing in the tax return due to the site or maybe internet connectivity. I hope these are some of the factors KRA needs to put into consideration to ensure that every Kenyan will file his return as per stipulated time. That's all I have from here. Back to you in studio, Gituku.
All right, thank you so much, Nikki. A very interesting conversation there with the cyber attendant, as well as someone who is filing their returns now, and just saying that they are busy Kenyans. They can only find time now when it's towards the end. Very interesting. And thank you, Nikki. We'll talk to you later on. And Judith, how often do you find these situations? Like, I know that Kenyans generally will be a last-minute rush. I mean, people, but when you look at between January and now, how is the graph like?
Okay, this year we have actually done well.
Mm-hmm.
We are already turned 2.2. Kenyans have already filed their returns, and
Mm-hmm.
to us that is quite encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have about 6 million
Mm-hmm.
taxpayers in our Itax
Mm-hmm.
system.
Yeah.
But of course, not everybody again, because some of them are students, others are, citizens beyond the taxation and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we expect to get about 3 million returns.
Mm-hmm.
So we already at 2.2, and we hope the rest of the Kenyans will come
In
between now and
the next 5
last day,
days.
yeah.
Peter from Garissa is asking, what about the military men who work in operational areas? We only have 5 days left. Others are in Somalia, others are in Garissa, Mandera, and they are not able to do the filing from there. What do you do to such kind of people who are in some difficult circumstances?
This is quite, I'm not sure why they are not able to do it, because this is a web-based system. They should do it online. It actually works even for those in the diaspora.
Mm-hmm.
So unless maybe one is quite clear why it's not working, because as long as the system is on, the return should go through. Yeah.
There's someone on Twitter, Mogaka Kingsley, he's asking that there are those who have P9 forms where only a few months have been captured. For instance, their nurses were on strike for a number of months last year, I believe even doctors. How is it done so that you have some tax was not paid for a period of time because of certain reasons? Like
okay, all right. For PAYE, actually, the employee pays for what, or rather declares what was paid, and also the employer, that is what they declare. If no salary was paid, then there will be no money to pay, because the deduction is done at the point of payment. Yeah, but you find that sometimes in such cases they are given a lump sum. Right. So the deduction is done at that point. Yeah.
And maybe related to that, sometimes you'll change your employer.
Yes.
Let's say between January and June, you're working for company X, then you decide that it's time to move on to another company. How is all that reconciled when you're coming to do your P9 form? Because now P9 forms can only be sourced from your employer.
Yeah, you source from the two employers, then you combine and make one return.
Okay.
Because what you're looking for is the period for which you worked. Yeah.
Someone is asking, there is Augustine Namawa saying that after filing returns, he realized that he paid excess tax. So how does he process his refund?
Okay, he needs to communicate and write to us, and that he has a refund. Of course, he'll have to show that there was a mistake. How did the overpayment occur?
Okay.
Once we are clear on that, he'll be in the list among those that should be refunded.